Now, in forming greatness, you're going to need a model to follow. Unfortunately, as you look to the world around you, you realize that although everyone is pursuing greatness, there's no one who's actually succeeding. So in order to have a model worth using, we're going to have to go back to the very beginning, the 7 days of creation. And here we see the Creator taking 7 days in order to bring forth expressions of his identity. So for example, he says, "Let there be light," and there is light. Now, how is he able to do this? He is able to do this because he is light. Because he's the only one who could say, "I am light," he's also the only one who could say, "Let there be an expression of my light." And creation, of course, responds to this by taking that identity on and saying, because the Creator is light, I am therefore the expression of the Creator's light. And at the end of 7 days, creation's identity was set. However, there was a third component to creation, and that would be you and I, the created creators. We were not given a set identity at the end of those 7 days. Instead, we were given free will and a creative nature very similar to the Creator. So the intent was we would walk with the Creator, learn from him, and then use our free will to express not his identities, because creation already does that. Instead, we were to express our own unique identity based on what we've learned from him. So the I Am, the Creator, defined creation's identity in 7 days, but not yours. So let's look a little closer at the Creator's 7 I Ams. First, in day 1, 2, and 3, we see that he is displaying himself as the separating subduer. He's separating, in day 1, the darkness from the light. In day 2, the upper waters from the lower waters. And in day 3, he's separating the land from the water itself. So he's separating everything. Now, why is he doing this? He's doing this in order to create containers for his identity. Distinguished containers that are ready to be filled with a unique expression of who he is. So on days 4, 5, and 6, he displays himself as the uniting filler. He fills the sky with stars, the moon and the sun. He fills the sea with fish, the air with birds, and of course the land with animals and human beings. So he not only separates to make containers, he also unites with those containers and fills them with expressions of himself. And then lastly, on day 7, he displays himself as the resting ruler. Now this seems very strange to us. Why would he rest after doing all these great things? You'd think he'd just continue doing great things. He's resting not for his own benefit, but for ours and creation. He just brought forth all these containers, filled them with unique expressions of his nature. Now he's going to be still and allow all creation to look to him. Why? Because he defines them. So they want to search him, to know him, to explore him, and therefore learn more about their purpose and their meaning. So he rests in order for us and creation to explore him, and that is a very important lesson. So the Creator is the separating subduer, the uniting filler, and the resting ruler. So let's look a little closer at how creation responded to these actions by the Creator. First, we see that creation is being willfully subdued by separation. There's not really a fight here. You say, well, what's the big deal? It's just being separated into different components and then filled after that. Why is it such a big deal? Well, creation likes to be whole, a singular whole. And the only time creation was singular was before the first day of creation. Creation was all one big void of darkness. Everything looked the same. Now, as soon as the Creator came, he started chopping all that up, making different components and containers. And this hurt creation to do that. So what had to happen is creation had to trust that although there would no longer be visible wholeness, that the Creator himself would be the spiritual source of wholeness. And this takes a lot of faith and trust because you can't see a spiritual source of wholeness. But this is something creation modeled for us, and it's something we should be able to learn from. Then we see that creation waited to be filled. An open sky, an empty ocean, A great landmass wants to be filled, but it must wait for the Creator. It must desire and need the Creator's union to be filled. And that is a powerful lesson for us, since we're the ones to be walking with the Creator. And then we see the creation is ruled by rest. The Creator is a spiritual sun. Now we have a material sun that we can see with our eyes, but creation also recognizes the need of a spiritual sun. And it is through rest, through a spiritual being just existing, that's what sustains creation. And that's an important lesson for us too. So creation received identity through the Creator subduing, filling, and ruling. And that is a model that it continues to display for us, because it's something we as fallen human beings are not very good at. So let's look finally at how this affected us, the created creators. Now first you'll see that although you didn't receive a set identity, you were still given the separating subduer role. Now you're not the separating subduer, you're still a separating subduer. And even in the fallen world, we still display this. We separate through war, through divorce, through physical actions and violence. We still do all these things, but we're doing them in our own way, not the Creator's way, and that's the problem. We also still have the nature of a uniting filler. We like to fill things. Everything we create, we fill it with our nature. We fill our mouth with words, our mouth with food. We fill everything. That's what we do because that's still who we are. And we're also still a resting ruler. We like to sleep. We like to let creation wonder and worship at us as the glorious creators that we think we are. So although we still have these three natures, the problem is we don't have an identity. So instead of subduing, filling, and ruling with life, we're subduing, filling, and ruling with death, with emptiness, with darkness. However, we were made without an identity. The only problem is we're now separated from the one who's the source of identity. So you are still a separating subduer, uniting filler, and a resting ruler, but you're without identity. But remember, you were made to be originally without identity as long as there was a connection with the Creator, because from Him comes all you need for identity. So the only problem in the world now is that you're simply separate from the one who is identity.